Well, I'm so glad we're finally able to connect.
I know I've been in so many countries.
Now, what were you doing in London?
I had a gallery there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Was it a new show?
It was, yeah.
How did it go over?
It went amazing.
Now, you grew up in Jacksonville. How often do you get back to visit your family and friends?
You know, I haven't been back in a while, but I'm just literally yesterday talking about coming back. It's been a couple years.
Oh, that's a long time.
I know. I need some Woody's barbecue in my life.
What's your favorite thing to get there?
I get the beef sandwich, the French fries, you know, about a pound of Woody's sauce.
I haven't had it, but I love a good barbecue.
Oh man, you got to have Woody's. It's the best. I order the sauce. I have it sent to me out here.
Is it a tomato-based spicy, or what's it taste like?
They have a couple different. There's a mustard-based one. It's like the one.
Oh.
The classic Woody's barbecue sauce.
I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Well, tell me a bit about your childhood.
You know, I grew up obviously in Jacksonville. At first, when I was probably 7, I started racing motocross.
Motocross, you know, that young?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I was racing motocross all around Florida and Georgia, all the way up South Carolina. You know, I did that, and then I started skating at Kona Skate Park when I was done with motocross. I retired from motocross when I was 12, and then I started skating.
So you went from mechanized to powered by yourself.
That's right.
Now, what interested you in vertical inline skating?
You know, honestly, my best childhood friend at the time, he came over to my house and his entire body was scraped up. And I was like, what happened to you? You know, like he had scrapes and bruises and you know, he was all cut up. And he's like, oh man, I was at the skate park. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's amazing. And so he invited me, and the skate park was, you know, 10 minutes from my house. And I went, and I was absolutely hooked.
Now, are you still friendly with Tony Hawk?
I mean, you know, I'm friendly with all those guys when I see them. I just don't see them very often. But yeah, like all of the skaters that I toured with, like, you know, anytime I see any of them, it's, you know, it's always amazing. And we've had a couple friends obviously who've died over the years, and things have happened. So we'll all kind of, you know, get together or chat when things like that happen.
Now, which extreme sports have you tried?
Oh, I mean, I've tried probably all of them. I mean, I've raced cars, I've skateboarded, I've BMX'd, I raced motorcycles, I've rollerbladed, I've wakeboarded, I've skied, I've surfed, I've snowboarded, skydived, rock climbed. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if the only thing I don't think I've tried technically is street luge, but I did once in a video. We went 89 miles an hour on a plastic 3-wheel scooter from Toys R Us.
That sounds fun. I could see kids saying, "Mom, look what I can do."
Oh yeah, the wheels burned off.
Oh wow,
it was incredible.
Well, it seems like you have that thrill-seeking gene.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I don't get that, like, you know when people get that nervous feeling, like, I don't really get that. It's just more like, it's almost more angelic. It's more relaxed. Like, there's nothing more calm to me than doing a backflip.
Well, because you have a little bit of different, well, it shows in your art that you have a different way of looking at the world.
Right.
Were you always into art?
No, I mean, I didn't really know anything about photography until I was already making a living at it. And I know that probably sounds crazy, but I knew skate photography, right? But I didn't know anything about fashion photography or fine art or anything like that. And now that sounds crazy because everybody has Instagram and everybody, photography is everywhere. But at the time, nobody really had like websites. No photographers really had websites. And if they did, you had to know who they were. There was no social media. And the only way to really see anything was in magazines or books, which I didn't have any magazine subscription. And I didn't have any photo books. So, I'd heard of like Ansel Adams and Annie Leibovitz. And there was a point when like a couple girls I knew who David LaChapelle was. But that was literally the extent of it. And obviously Warhol and Picasso and, these guys you've obviously heard of. But it wasn't until much later that I really started to understand the levels of art.
Now, you've also directed music videos. What constitutes a good music video to you?
There are some amazing music videos, and the sad truth of it is you have to have a great song. It's very difficult to make a great music video if the song's not great. And what's that?
No, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, it's one of those things like, when you make a movie, the visual is 50% and the audio is 50%. But when you make a music video, it's probably more like 70-30.
Now, what kind of music do you like?
I mean, I like all types of music. Obviously, I grew up listening to the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and Pink Floyd and all that. I love Radiohead, Arcade Fire. I have a pretty wide spectrum. Every day that I'm on set for a movie, I'd put on "I Believe I Can Fly" by R. Kelly in the morning because it's a weird OCD thing that started years ago.
So it's your
God help my live-in assistants when we were doing the movies because they were constantly having to listen to R. Kelly full blast in the morning.
Whatever gets the creative process going for you.
Yeah, that one's just more like, oh God, I'm OCD and I can't let this go. But what can you do?
What was the first photo you sold?
The first photo I sold was the first photo I ever took, which is I was batting 1,000 there for a second.
That's lucky. That's really good.
Yeah. It's the one with the shoes and the hanger and the empty closet. So that was the first one. I sold it for $75, and it was 4 by 5 inches.
Well, it's a start.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Well, I read that a bad breakup prompted your push into photography. How does your work change depending on your mood?
I think that the world, obviously, what's happening in your life can obviously affect you, especially when you start out. When you're starting something, there was a bit of darkness in the beginning of some of my work, because I was poor and I was heartbroken and I was angry. And, as you grow and as you evolve, and for me, like as I've understood photography more and I've understood light more, my work has obviously changed. But I think there's something about figuring out the stories that you want to tell and just executing those stories. And in the beginning, I saw the world a very specific way, and now I've been through so much and I've seen so much, and I understand so much more than I did then. So the stories are obviously different now.
What constitutes a successful photo?
It's funny because there's basically three types of photos that I have now, which is one is it's just a photo, two it's a photo that'll go in a book, and three it's a photo that'll go on a wall. And I put no pressure on any of them to sell, or I put no pressure on any of the photographs to do anything. If people like them, then they like them. If they don't, then they don't. Which is part of the fun, because then you are constantly just trying new things. We're caught in this society right now where a lot of artists or a lot of photographers are trying to repeat success that they've had. And, if you post a photo on Instagram and you get 1,000 likes or 10,000 likes, you want to take that same photo again so that you can get those likes again. And that's a dangerous place to be.
That is. Now, what kind of assignments are boring to you?
Assignments?
I guess photo commissions. I don't know what it would be called.
Oh, yeah. So I don't do any of those.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I probably will do one job a year that's for somebody else.
So I guess the question then is, how does work come to you? Do you just get your own ideas and then try and sell them that way?
So everything that I do is basically based off of galleries. So I will go out and shoot and create whatever I want, and then I'll put it in the gallery. And then people collect it, and they buy it. And that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, again, you have to be very self-motivated. There isn't a time when someone's like, all right, we're going to pay you to take this photograph. I mean, I'll do that probably once a year, where I'll do a commission or a job or something, but it's always with somebody who I know and I'm friends with.
So like you wouldn't get a call from, or if you got a call from Vanity Fair or something like that, would you say no?
Yeah, I did Vanity Fair last in 2015, I think it was. So how that worked was, I just basically had, because this is Colton Haynes, and it was right when he was coming out as being gay, and so he just came over to my house and we shot, and that was it. There was no one from the magazine there. It was just we just did whatever we wanted to do.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a nice way.
Do you like being referred to as the bad boy of photography?
I mean, it's fun. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You know what I mean? Like, because you don't think about yourself like that.
I would hope most people wouldn't. But
yeah, I don't walk around thinking, oh yeah, I'm the bad boy. But look, I understand. You've got to. People love labels, and also at the same time, like, I've tried to do it my own way, which oftentimes scares people.
Yeah, it sounds intimidating, actually. Well, I like that GQ also called your work gloriously twisted.
Oh, that's nice.
I think that was kind of awesome.
That's great.
Now, does the public's opinion of you or your work matter to you?
No. No, I mean, I think, look, I think at the end of the day, like, you're going to have people that are going to like you, and you're going to have people that are not going to like you. You can't live just by the people that like you, and you can't live by the people that don't like you. You have to just, make the things you want to make. And even some of my close friends and people I know well don't like some of the stuff that I do. When I made the KKK image, I remember one of my friends was like hated it. And what can you do?
Have you ever apologized for a photo?
No, I don't think I've ever apologized for a photo. Yeah, I mean, I think one time I think people got mad at me once for something, and I said, I'm sorry if you're upset, but you shouldn't, being mad at me isn't going to solve the problem. But everyone now has to apologize for everything. It's really crazy.
Well, I think artists especially are asked to defend their work all the time.
Right.
Now, it also seems like people regard you more as an artist than a celebrity photographer. I think you probably would, too. How would you define the difference between the two?
Celebrity photography is dead. That ended years ago. You know, the Instagram and social media and the iPhone has replaced the celebrity photographer. I mean, don't get me wrong, I use celebrities in my work, but they're actors. You know, I don't think of them as celebrities. Like they're just actors who are acting in the photographs. Whereas celebrity photography, and you know, look, that was something that I definitely did. There was a time when you could just take a photo of a celebrity and that was a story. But that just doesn't exist anymore.
Now, if someone wants to hire you or commission you, how does that happen?
A lot of the times it goes through friends or people that I know. But, you know, look, people just, sometimes people go on my website and they'll email me and say, hey, you know. But a lot of the times it'll be through people I know, or, you know, someone I know might be doing something, or they might ask me to shoot it for them or something like that.
Now, how did you decide what to include in the historical fiction series?
How did I decide what?
Which images you wanted to include for historical?
Oh, yeah, you know, it was just one of those things, like, I had to kind of go with what was presenting itself to me at the time, you know, like, the airplane image, that just happened. You know, the KKK image, you know, obviously when I say they just happened, they were planned. But those shots kind of like fall into your lap, and you just have to kind of take them when they come to you.
Well, Giant's one of my favorite movies, so I saw that and I was wondering if you were trying to get that kind of vibe.
Giant?
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. It's one of James Dean's 3 movies.
Oh, wow, yeah, I've never seen it.
Oh, that's really funny because it actually looked like you were using one of the cowboys from the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I mean, I just thought the cowboy with the James Dean thing would just work really well.
It did, but it worked even better if you put it in the context of his last movie.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that.
It's really good. It's with Elizabeth Taylor and Rock Hudson.
Wow.
Now, did you ever decide that you wanted to be provocative with your photos, or did it just happen that way?
Just completely happened that way.
Now, do you have any favorite photos?
Yeah, it's tough because I couldn't say like, oh yeah, this one's my favorite, and it also depends on the mood that I'm in. You know, there's certain ones, obviously, you know, the airplane and the KKK and the Gator Birkin, and you know, there's ones that were just like, oh, this is a really crazy moment. But then, you know, there's other ones that are personal to me in terms of what it took to take them or make them. But it's always the next one, you know. Right now, there's ones in my mind that I want to do, and those are the ones I'm most excited about. I've
always wondered after a professional photo shoot if the artist gives a copy to their subject for their own use, or do they ever get copies? I'm not sure how that works. No, I mean people get photos that they post, you know. But no, I only make a very limited amount of prints. So I only make 3 prints, 3 per size. I only do 3 sizes. So now, who are some people that you would like to photograph?
You know, it's interesting because it's difficult when you fantasize about someone and then you meet them and they're completely different.
from what you expected. You know? And I've been fortunate because I get so much time with people, and you know, I get such a rare insight into the people that come around because they want me to shoot them. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. There's definitely some people that I think could be interesting. Warren Buffett was someone who I'd love to photograph.
I don't know if you'd be able to do some of your thrill-seeking stuff with him, but it might be game.
Yeah, right? He seems like he's pretty down.
Yeah, go to Nebraska and say, hey.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I think you should give it a try. Now, so this one might be a ghost question, but what's the most money anyone's paid for one of your photos?
For the normal size print, $150,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you got the whole cast of Vampire Diaries arrested?
I did.
How did that happen?
Well, you know, we were standing on a bridge taking pictures, and then the police were there, and next thing I know, we were taking mugshots.
What was the cause? What did they say was the reason?
Well, the reason was they found out that the girls were on a TV show. There was no real reason. You know, I wish that I could tell you, like, oh, they were naked or they were doing something, but there was no real reason.
Oh, okay. Now, tell me a little bit about your book.
Yeah, so The Dirty Side of Glamour was a book that I published with HarperCollins, and it's basically just that collection of that type of work. And then Provocateur, which is the last book, that's about, you know, there's 500 images in it, and that one kind of covers a wide variety of all the stuff, like from the Marie Antoinette stuff to the historical fiction stuff, portraits. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff in there.
And you were able to take those photos in the Louvre?
In Versailles, you mean?
Oh, Versailles. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. No. So I looked into shooting in Versailles, but when I told them, you know, I want basically like champagne and cake all over the floor, they were not too thrilled about that. And so I said, all right, well, fuck it. Let's just build the rooms ourselves. And so we built the sets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, what about the smart... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what about The Smartest Man? What's that about?
That was a book that I wrote years ago, maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago now. It's basically a survivalist book. You know, it's one of those things. It's written in state of consciousness, so there's no grammar in it or anything. And it's funny because people are either like fanatic about that book or they absolutely hate it.
It seems like most people don't just look at you and say, he's okay. It seems like they're one extreme or the other.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I think that's more interesting in some ways. Now, did you actually ask celebrities to donate blood for Life Isn't a Fairy Tale?
I did, and they did. I had a refrigerator full of blood, which I made a 6-foot painting out of.
Wow. Okay. How did you get the idea for that one?
You know, I was thinking I had a show coming up, and I was thinking about, you know, making just one piece of work that was different, you know, a painting or something. And I thought, oh, it would be really cool if I did it with blood. And then I was like, oh, I could do it with my blood. And then, you know, I talked to a doctor, and they were like, yeah, no, you can't. You can't give enough of your own blood for that. And I was like, okay, well, how much blood would I need? And they were like, safely, you'd need like 20 people. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
So at least they don't kill you by having you donate for yourself. That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's easy. I can get 20 people over. So we had milk and cookies, and everyone donated blood.
Oh, well. Look here, you ran your own little blood bank there.
That's right.
Now, did you buy the Birkin bag that you destroyed?
No, it was given to me.
Okay. Now, how did they feel when you destroyed it? I loved watching some celebrity reactions. No!
People were very upset.
Were you pleased with yourself?
Yeah, you know, the honest truth of it is I didn't realize at the time how coveted that bag was. So I was just like, yeah, let's do this. And I didn't pay for it, so I didn't even really know how much it was worth.
Yeah, I think some fashionistas were wanting to hunt you down after that one.
Big time.
Now tell me about one of your most recent controversial shots, the Kathy Griffin and President Trump.
I mean, you know, Kathy and I just we were doing a shoot, and she said, oh, let's do something political. And, you know, literally that happened in the matter of 10 minutes. And then I only took 3 slides of film. And, you know, cut to, it's just everywhere. I got this, you know, it's just crazy. Like, it was just absolutely crazy. There were 20 news vans outside of my house.
Wow. How do you feel about the public's reaction to it?
You know, this is the same thing I said to Kathy. Like, people were very upset at first, you know, and I was like, look, this is the same thing that happened to the Dixie Chicks. You know, they said something against George Bush. Next thing you know, people were like setting their albums on fire. And, you know, a year later, they had their biggest album that they'd ever had, and they had their #1 song that they'd ever had. And people were like, oh, well, maybe, you know, maybe there's another side to it. And it's kind of the same thing that's happened now is, you know, people were really, really pissed. And now they're not so pissed anymore.
Have you ever regretted publishing or showing a photo?
No.
Now, which photos have caused the biggest reactions from the public?
I'd say the Kathy one, the KKK, the Lindsay Lohan, the Misha Barton. Those were probably the biggest reaction from the public.
I actually really like the ballet.
Show. Yeah. The ballet one, that one's probably the most viral.
It's just, I always like what show how people, you know, what they do for their work and what they do for their art.
Yep.
Now, do you think it's an artist's responsibility to defend their art?
No. Why do you have to defend it? You know?
Now, do you think if artists are required to make political or social statements through their work?
No. I don't think an artist is required to do anything that they don't want to do. That's the beauty of being an artist. If I make the photograph and you don't like it, don't look at it.
Now, do you have a favorite photo that someone else has taken of you?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, there's one of me that my girlfriend Anna took, which is just a portrait. But I think she got something really nice out of it. And we've learned over the years that I look much better on film than I do on a digital file.
That'd be interesting. I wouldn't know that there would be a difference to the two.
Huge difference.
Now, who are some photographers you admire?
Richard Avedon, Helmut Newton. I think you know, a lot of photographers today owe a lot to Robert Mapplethorpe. And regardless of if you like his work or not, what I mean by that is him and Sam Wagstaff did a lot of work to make photography a really collectible thing. You know, and that is that's something they really fought to make happen.
Now, do you plan to direct any more films?
I do, yeah.
Is anything happening with your script, The Wild Ones?
Yeah, that movie is set up at Atlas at the moment, and so they're figuring that out. And then, you know, I'm just working on the next one now.
Now, is there something you haven't done yet but want to do?
Well, I mean, I'd like to go to space. I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like that'll, you know, going into space will be like a normal thing by the time I'm dead.
Time?
Yeah.
Now, from where you came from, is fame what you thought it would be?
Yeah. It's exactly, you know, look, like, fame drives people crazy. It's not a real, it's, you know, it's like the stock market. It's not a real thing. You're not making anything. When I say fame, I don't mean when you're making a movie or when you're making something, but fame itself is just not a real commodity. So it can go away. It can become bigger. You know, it's literally volatile. You know, to quote The Wolf of Wall Street, I don't care if you're a sous chef or a stockbroker. Nobody knows if the stock is going to go up or down or left or right or what's going to happen.
That is very true. Now, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to take pictures.
Oh, that's when your life and work meld. That's great.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn how to exist as a normal person, but
how's it working out?
I have a hard time with it. You know, it's something that I really, you know, I was so poor, and I have this dream, and I just, I put everything else to the side. So I stopped. I don't really do anything other than work, and it consumes me all the time. Sometimes, you know, some of my friends refer to me as Howard Hughes because, not because my fingernails are really long and I piss in milk bottles, but because. Yeah. I still use the bathroom like a normal person, but you know, give it time, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I think it takes a dedication to achieve what I wanted to achieve. That is unlike anything I've ever seen. You know, unlike anything that most of the people I know, you know, go through. And obviously, there's people you find, people you know who are very dedicated to what they do in the same way. And that's what's fortunate about being out here is, you know, you meet people like that. But at the same time, you know, you at a certain point just forget to do stuff. You know, there was a year, maybe a year and a half of my life where I didn't go into a grocery store.
Wow. Did someone else buy your groceries for you? Or
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. I just, you know, it was just one of those things. Like I had a list of this is what I eat, and it was just brought to me every week.
Oh.
And that was it. Yeah, and here's the thing. That's obviously convenient, but you lose a touch of reality.
No, I bet. You would lose a lot of reality because all of a sudden things are magically done for you.
Exactly.
Now, what is the biggest splurge you've done with the money that you've earned?
Oh man, splurging. That's another problem. Yeah, I mean,
You seem to travel a lot, but that seems to be for work as well.
Yeah. You're saying like a personal splurge, or can I include like cameras in that?
You can include anything you want.
I guess I don't know. I mean, I think I own every camera that I've ever wanted to own. Some of them were given to me though, so yeah, probably cameras.
Are they modern cameras or vintage cameras or a little?
They're all old cameras. I have like a new. I have one new Hasselblad and one new Leica. The rest of everything else is almost as old as I am, or older. One of my go-to cameras is 1959.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that's like one of the we use it almost every day. It's crazy. It's still just works perfectly.
Well, I think things are made better a little bit long time ago.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Now, how do you like people to connect with you?
How do I like people that connect with me?
Do connect with you? Do you like social media, through your website?
Oh, yeah. Website, social media, through friends. It's very easy for me to figure out if somebody is in line with what I'm doing or what I want to do.
Now, are there any charities that you support that you want to mention?
Yeah, I did a campaign with Love is Louder years and years ago, so I worked with them for a long time. And then, I've just done various stuff here and there, but that was kind of the main one.
Now, you're definitely a Renaissance kind of guy. Now, given that, what would you like your legacy to be?
Well, I'd like to go down as one of the greatest photographers and greatest filmmakers of my time.
It seems like you're on your way to doing that, so that's a start.
That's the plan.
Now, I was told you're doing a new project with actors for their professional portfolios. Can you tell me about that?
That's news to me.
Oh, okay. Then let me change the question. What are you working on now?
So right now I'm doing I'm working on the next book, which is probably 3 years out. And then I just finished up all the galleries, and so I'm doing a new series on an 8x10 camera, which is, the big, large format, kind of, I think this one's probably 30 years old. So, we've been kind of working on that series, and I'd like to do a show of just all 8x10, which is nice.
Do you already have the spaces picked out before you do a show, or which comes first, the show or the space?
It just depends, really. It depends on when I finish something. Depends on how long I work on a series. I've had some series where I work on it for a couple of weeks, and then I've had some where I've worked on it for a year.
How do you know when something's done?
It's never done. You always want to tinker, and you always are like, oh, we could have this in there. And, even with historical fiction, I've just recently shot some stuff for a project coming up that's in that vein. I didn't really get enough.
I think it's neat that you could always go back and do something a totally different way in order to improve things.
Totally. I mean, that's the beauty of all this is no matter what you do, or no matter how perfect a photograph is, or a movie is, or something that you make is, as you grow and adapt, you want to do better. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. You want to do better, so you might look back on something, and people might love it, and you might look back on it and be like, oh, I could have done that better, or I'd do it different now. But part of the fun of that is it keeps you going.
It does. Now, is it true that you are on a quest for the missing brontosaurus, the Mokele Mbembe?
Oh yeah, Stephen Dare has put me on that years and years ago. And,
so what is that?
I mean, you have to ask him about that. That's his pet project.
Oh, okay. I thought it was yours. Okay.
No. Listen, he is the most well-versed person in that. It's funny. It's like, I guess it'd be Africa's version of Bigfoot, but a dinosaur.
And so people are out to find them.
People are out to find them. I
Well,
just think it's a nice excuse to go to Africa. You know what I mean?
Now, where have you not traveled to that you want to go to?
I've traveled almost everywhere from skating. But the place that I haven't really photographed yet that I want to is Iceland.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Iceland.
Now, is there anything else you want to add that you want people to know about you?
No, I mean, you were very well versed.
Oh, I've been practicing. I like it.
Well, thank you so much. I love that.
I can't wait until this runs. I'm really excited. And I'm glad we were able to finally get this going. We've been chasing each other around.
I know.
Now, are you traveling somewhere else soon?
I'm not sure. I may come back to Jacksonville.
Oh, that'll be nice. I'm sure your friends will love it.
Yeah.
And I'm you live in Los Angeles now, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if you think of anything else you'd like to add, or you want me to say more stuff about an upcoming film, please don't hesitate. I want to make sure to celebrate you any way I can.
No, thank you. You're amazing.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you soon.